Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Before the Bell. I think this is the fifth episode. I've done 5 episodes so far. Go back and watch the rest of them after you're done with this one. Um, in my opinion, they keep getting better and better every week. I enjoy doing this show, and I appreciate those of you that show up and listen. You guys are true rope breakers. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you're being entertained. Um, and like I said last week, you guys know the drill already. I'm not going to keep reiterating myself, telling you what's up. You guys already know what's going on. So, as always, throw those headphones in, sit back, relax, or continue doing what you're doing, and let me try to entertain you. Hopefully, I can be successful at that. And we're going to move right into it right now. The first thing that I have to talk about this, is the fact that Justin Roberts, and if you don't know who Justin Roberts is, then you really need to. I'm questioning your wrestling fan status because that's just ridiculous. But if you don't know, for those of you who don't know, he is the ring announcer that you see every single Monday night on Raw for the past X amount of years. I don't even know how long that guy's been on. Probably should have done my research, but I don't care that much. Um, the reason I want to talk about him is for the fact that I may be one of the only people who really isn't that upset over Justin Roberts being. He wasn't fired. They just didn't renew his he was fired. We're just gonna, yeah, that he was fired. We'll lay it out simple. They didn't renew his contract. That's a really really nice way of firing somebody. he was fired. They didn't want him. The rumor that has been floating around is that him and Michael Cole got into some sort of argument um, during the Orton Ziggler match on Raw this past Monday. JBL quickly jumping in, squashing that rumor, saying that's not what happened at all. I have no clue how these rumors even get started like that. Basically saying that the announce team has zero time to communicate really with one another, because they're jumping either from doing the live commentary for the show, to Twitter, to the WWE app. There's no time in between that to even have an argument, and it makes sense. I don't see Justin Roberts as the kind of guy that would, really do something like that. Um, but it makes you question, what was he fired for? This is a guy that's been on the team for years, and we saw the same thing with Josh Matthews, and it's kind of the same thing for me. I don't really care. I know a lot of people like Justin Roberts. It's nothing against him personally. I'm not even saying he's bad. I just don't really care for his style. I don't like the way he enunciates his words. I don't like the way he draws things out. That little raspiness type thing that he does when he calls out people's names. I've never liked it. I've never liked him as an announcer. But with that being said, I do gotta say that I do respect the hell out of his passion. If you read his comments on being let go by the WWE, this is a guy that has so much respect for this business, and as a fan myself, I can't have I can't dislike somebody who's that passionate about a business that I love. So for that I respect him big time. But it doesn't change the fact that I don't really care for him as an announcer, and to be quite honest, I don't think I'm really going to miss him or his announcing. I know it sounds harsh, probably sounds pretty mean. I wish him the best. My only concern at this point is, who are they going to have fill his spot? Because I don't really think there's anybody right now that's capable. I mean, obviously Lillian Garcia held that spot for a while. I'm not even really a big fan of Lillian Garcia. Listen, I'm very very I'm very picky when it comes to professional wrestling. Howard Finkel, my man Fink, is probably my favorite. Obviously, I like Mean Gene as well. Those are my two top guys. I think they just have a very professional sound to them. They sound like they could transition nicely into any other sport. They have a classy sound to them. Um, it, that's just you know, my personal opinion. If you like Justin Roberts, then that's cool. Nothing against you. Um, but I'm not gonna miss him. I'm just gonna say it point blank. I'm not gonna miss him or his announcing. Sorry. That's what you get here on Before the Bell. That's real. 100% real all the time. Nope, not cutting corners, not bullshitting anybody. I tell you how I feel, and if you don't like that, well, too damn bad. Get your own show and complain about it. Um, but seriously, I don't really care for it. But there's a deeper issue here, and that's who's gonna fill the spot. Trying to backtrack, get back to what I was talking about, because if you've watched the first 4 episodes, you know I go off, and if you've seen anything with me in it before, whether it be Before the Bell right here or React after Raw, then you definitely know that I go on tangents like I'm doing right now. So let me backtrack to what I was originally saying before I lose all of my viewers. There's To me, I don't see anybody on the roster right now, or not on the roster itself, but in back as far as announcing that can really take that spot, because whether I like him or not, he really was the only guy, in my opinion. Like, I'm not a fan of Lillian. I like Lillian Garcia's announcing less than I dislike Justin Roberts. I'd rather have him over Lillian. That's just my opinion. Um, but from what I'm reading, apparently they're going to be putting. Well, the original plan was to have Eden, aka, also known as Brandy Rhodes, who is Cody Rhodes' wife in real life. Um, she was originally, from what I read, going to go on SmackDown, and Lillian Garcia was going to take over on Raw. But I guess now I'm getting, I'm reading some things saying that she's actually just going to move straight to Monday Night Raw. And Lillian Garcia is going to be on SmackDown. I don't watch SmackDown, so I'm not. I think Lillian Garcia is on SmackDown as it is. Um, what the hell happened to Tony Chimmel? Can we talk about that? That's some BS. That poor guy. God, I like Tony Chimmel. I like that guy. I think that he's my favorite announcer right now. I think he's got the closest to the Fink or Mean Gene that you're gonna get. He's a legitimate announcer. I prefer him over any of the clowns on there right now. Put him on Raw. Why do they hate him so much? That poor guy. That poor bastard. Ugh. Damn you, WWE. But seriously though, I mean, I haven't really heard too much of Brandy Rhodes announcing, or Eden as she's called, the WWE. She did a lot on NXT, I know that. Um, and there's actually a lot of concern within the IWC. They don't really care for her announcing style. I think I heard her announce at TakeOver like once or twice, or I don't know if she announced the entire show. I really wasn't paying that close attention to the announcing. Um, but I mean, I'll give her a chance. I mean, I'm not going to say she sucks before I really get to see what she can do. But it's not an easy task, and I hope that they can find somebody, or that Eden can fill those shoes and make it interesting. That is enough talking about Justin Roberts. I'm gonna move on. There are a couple things that I've been thinking about in my head. Um, and speaking of NXT, apparently, and I just read this the other day. Apparently, the WWE is there's a rumor going around, because Takeover is going to be taking place. It's going to be it's not just one pay-per-view, a year. Takeover is going to be a year-long pay-per-view, so they're going to do a Takeover pay-per-view once every 4 months. I think the next one is going to be in December, which means the next one's going to be around March, April, which could mean, and the rumors are saying, that we could see NXT TakeOver not not during WrestleMania 31, but during WrestleMania 31 Access. So we could actually see a pay-per-view then, um, the day before WrestleMania. So that could be interesting. I think that could be really, really big for the brand because it is a brand now. Triple H wants to push it as a brand. And I say, what the hell, go for it. I think you have all the tools right now in NXT to really, really make this thing huge. And, the term being thrown around was the next WCW. And, like I've said before, hopefully not WCW Thunder, because that would be absolutely awful. But I think I could see like the early WCW when it was top notch, when you had, Hogan versus Sting in the main event, or you had great matches between Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko. I mean, there was a time when WCW was massive. You had the NWO invasion. You had DX invading WCW. This was the time, Raw is War. The Monday Night Wars. This is a time when WCW was huge. And even, in my opinion, before that, WCW wasn't too bad. Like, I really, really liked a lot of the early WCW stuff. Being a huge, they really focused a lot of times on the mid card. They really had a heavy mid card over there, and it was full of talented guys. And to be quite honest, that's kind of what NXT looks like. I know I'll probably get flack for that. Oh, Sami Zayn's a main event guy. Not everybody can be a main event guy, so people need to get out of that mindset that every guy is going to be a main eventer. Because then you just disappoint yourself and you get pissed off at the WWE. Then you throw around that stupid term that I flipped out on you last week for, buried. He's not getting his WWE championship, so he's buried. No, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. Not everybody, just because he doesn't get the WWE Championship, does not mean he's buried. Stop being an idiot and throwing that stupid term around because it's ridiculous and means nothing. And honestly, you look like an idiot. I'm literally saying exactly what I said last week, so if you missed that little rant, go check that out. I'll kind of give you a taste of it. But, I mean, the roster is filled with a bunch of awesome, amazing mid-carders. Seriously. That's really what it is. Sami Zayn would be an amazing Intercontinental Champion. I don't see him ever being a WWE Champion. I don't think he has what it takes on the mics. It's just that simple. Same goes for, Sammy Breeze, or Tyler Breeze, Sammy Breeze. I'm making up my own goddamn wrestlers now. I worked all day. I'm freaking tired. Get off my back. Sammy Breeze. Just kind of mashed two wrestlers together. I don't know what that was about. But Tyler Breeze, I just don't think that's another thing. I really don't see him as a character that can be a WWE champion. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I just don't see the majority of those guys being true main event talents. Yeah, of course, Sami Zayn is phenomenal. He's one of my all-time favorites. I used to watch him as El Generico and Ring of Honor. Huge fan of his work in the indie circuit. Same goes as Adrian Neville. I mean, yes, he's NXT Heavyweight Champion, but honestly, moving him, think about it this way: you move this guy to the main roster, and from the rumors, and if you watch the Sharpshoot, then you know this very well. Which, by the way, if you haven't watched the Sharpshoot and you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to our YouTube channel, which you're on right now, and if you haven't already subscribed, you're an idiot. Just click the button right there. Click. Done. And you don't got to search for nothing. Sharpshoot's right there. It's right in our videos. This week's episode is already uploaded. It's there. Go check it out because it's pretty awesome. But in last week's episode, Aussie had mentioned the rumor that a lot of the power at B, a lot of the backstage old timers, the road agents, they don't really like Sami Zayn. They don't really see anything in Sami Zayn, Adrian Neville, Tyler Breeze, Tyson Kidd, those guys. Which I don't necessarily agree with them, and I think they're stuck in their ways, and they need to be released of their contract immediately. Because I don't think it's really a good idea, because all these old timers aren't able. Pat Patterson, I guess, was the big deal. Never been a fan of Pat Patterson. I don't give a shit if he is the first Intercontinental Champion. He can take that, shine it up real nice, stick it straight up his candy ass. Okay, um, that's enough of that shitty rock impersonation. I never really cared for the guy. He just seems like an ass. He just seems like he's just cranky and not a fun person to be around. Like I said, it could be wrong. He could be the life of the goddamn party. I don't know. That's just what I think. And I know it doesn't matter what I think. Um, but in all seriousness, a lot of the old guys backstage don't like him. Well, you know what? That's too damn bad. And like Aussie said, listen to the crowd. The crowd wants these guys. That is where your money. That's where the problem lies. They listen to too many of these old timers, these guys who should have retired years ago, shouldn't be in the business anymore because they're stuck in the 80s. And I'm going to tell you something about the 80s. It really wasn't all that good. I mean, it really wasn't wrestling. See, that's the time when the 80s were the time when wrestling kind of dropped and entertainment kind of picked up. There was more entertainment than wrestling. And then, in my opinion, the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression eras were kind of when those two merged again. And I think we're kind of breaking apart. We're getting back to that wrestling again because we have a lot of guys who are great wrestlers. But, and I'm going off into a tangent. I promise you, if you stick with me, I'll get to my point eventually. That is a guarantee, courtesy of Matt Donato, and you can put a stamp on that, date that, send it out. That's legitimate. Sign my name. I will get to my point eventually. I promise. I know it doesn't seem like it, and you're like, oh my god, will this guy ever stop talking? No, I won't. Sorry. I I just don't. I just don't think that they're these guys need to be there. The 80s, like I said, really wasn't anything special. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't special, but let me backtrack. I don't mean it's not special. I mean it it was fully pretty much based on entertainment aspect of things, and honestly, it's the 80s. Go watch an 80s movie and you can and it'll sum up what WWE is all about. Larger than life, 300-pound, 6'6", 300-pound men getting in the ring, and I'm not saying there weren't great matches. I mean, go back and watch Ultimate Warrior Hogan. When he dropped the title to Warrior. I'm not saying that was a bad. I mean, wrestling wise, obviously, but don't go back and watch it for it to be a wrestling match. Go back and watch it for entertainment purposes. But that's kind of what I mean. They're stuck. It's not that the 80s was bad. I just think, for me, being a traditionalist who loves wrestling, I didn't care for it as much. That's why I don't think it was that great. I mean, there were a lot of amazing matches, and it was a stepping stone to this generation. I get that, but for me, the traditionalist, I love my mat wrestling. I know a lot of people get bored with that, but I love it. And the 80s didn't really have any of that. So, I mean, unless you count, you know, Ricky Steamboat. But I mean, honestly, it was more Hogan, Warrior, Macho Man, which I love all those guys. Minus Hogan. I'm not a huge Hogan guy, if you haven't already gathered that from my previous podcast. Not a big fan of Hogan. I've never really cared for him. He seems kind of shady to me. I don't know. Damn, I'm like calling out everybody today. I don't like this guy. I'm negative today. I am negative, probably from lack of sleep. I'm just, phew, good lord. I'll try to be more positive. I really like Macho Man. I really like Ultimate Warrior. I like Macho Man more, but, stay positive. Alright, now what was I saying? Oh yeah, fuck the old timers. That's what I was saying. Those bastards don't know nothing. They're stuck in the 80s. They can't get with the program and realize that it's 2014. and they're not listening to the fans, and that's where you're gonna fail. You don't listen to the fans. The fans want these guys, you know. But the point I was getting to, and I promised you I'd get to my point. It just it's just taking a while. My point is that when these guys come to the main roster, these old timers have a lot of say in the back, and they're not gonna be, you know, really, really, they're not gonna be fast to push these guys. You know what I mean? They're not going to be, they're not gonna look at these guys and say we need to immediately push these guys, because they already don't see them as that. So in my eyes, in my book, right now, technically speaking, these guys are mid-carders. Nothing wrong with that. I love the mid card, and I hate that there's this stigma. And I think I say this every week, but there's a stigma around the mid card that it's a bad place to be and you're buried if you're in the mid card. No, you're not. And like I said last week, stop being an asshole and throwing that buried term around every 5 seconds because you look like a moron. I'm gonna keep saying that every single week until somebody acknowledges it. Probably get a message from Alec now that I think about it, telling me after he listens to this, saying, "Okay, I acknowledge you. Now stop saying it." um, Alec, of course, being the host of React, which awesome show after Raw. I've missed the last few. I've been busy doing other stuff, but I promise I'm gonna be making a comeback soon. So watch out for that. And check out that show too. Even if I'm not on it, I know. It's not the same without me on it. I get it. You tune in every week just to see me flap my gums. I get it. But I promise you it'll still be okay without me. And I'll make my return. Keep watching every week until you get that surprise return. It'll be more electrifying than The Rock's return on Raw. Alright, it's not going to be that great, but you'll be kind of no, I don't even think you'll be excited. Oh well, I'll be back. Don't you worry. But in the meantime, keep watching that and the Sharpshoot, which is an amazing show as well. And yeah, I just think that I told you I go off on tangents. See what I do? See what you make me do, you bastards. I getting back to my original point, because I'm running late. I'm gonna be running into overtime if I don't wrap this up soon. I think that the way it stands, NXT roster does look a lot like early WCW. They really, really do. I think they have a vast amount of talent. They don't need to keep pushing these guys on Raw right now. It's not necessary. I think a brand split would be awesome. And I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. Triple H needs to take NXT. And I would love to see a feud between Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, for control of the shows. Stephanie McMahon, Monday Night Raw is better. Triple H, no, NXT is better. Maybe they have like a spousal, like spat between the two of them. I think they could make for whenever there's a brand war. I really, really enjoy it, and I think it really brings attention to both shows. I was an advocate for them doing that for SmackDown and Raw. I don't like the brand combination of SmackDown and Raw. I think it's only hurt the SmackDown brand. And I really thought that I really wanted to see Triple H go over to SmackDown and Vince McMahon running Raw when they were having that feud. And, Triple H take the Heavyweight Championship. Vince take the WWE Championship. This is before they were, unified. I thought a brand split. Triple H runs SmackDown. I can run SmackDown better than you old man, or something like that. Vince takes Raw. They feud for it. I have my champion. And then they build something to where at WrestleMania 30, they combine the titles in a my guy versus your guy type of deal. Maybe Vince pulls out Brock Lesnar. Well, he'd be a heel, so maybe Triple H pulls out Brock Lesnar on SmackDown, and Vince pulls out WWE Champion John Cena from Raw, because Cena's obviously Vince's guy. And then they fight for the unification of the titles at WrestleMania 30. Brock wins both titles right there. and then immediately they start building Brock as the next big thing. Nobody can beat him. Boom, done deal. I just think it would have been so much better had they done it that way. It would have made for such better, way more compelling television. And I'm still, I'm sitting here right now trying to figure out why creative isn't knocking my door down trying to sign me, to write their shows for them, because I would pull in viewers away from Monday Night Football. And if you're in the UK, I don't know what's on during Raw. I know in the US we have football, or hand egg, as a lot of our European friends like to call it, because they're not happy with us calling it football because it technically isn't football. And they're right, it makes zero sense. But that's just what us Americans do. But that's okay, it's still football to me, damn it. I just felt like that would have been something great to do. Maybe they can still do something like that with NXT. Make it its own brand, make it like a WCW type deal, and have a brand war. I think that'd be great. It'd be good for both brands. It would really elevate NXT and make it look like it's really up there with WWE Raw. I just think it would be cool to have that crossover, where you have invasions and things like that. I think it would be compelling television if done correctly. So it's going to be interesting. And I think, having NXT takeover on Mania Access before the main pay-per-view, I think that'd be huge for the brand itself. Um, Damn, I spent so much time on that topic. It's not even that big of a deal. Good lord. Ugh. All right, let's move on. Thankfully, and a big sigh of relief for all two of you that stayed on this long. Um, so I want to thank my mom and dad for, staying on this long. I'm sure it's probably the only two that would stay on this long through my ranting. Um, but I wasn't on, like I said, I wasn't on React because, I've been busy with work and stuff like that. I haven't had a chance to really make my appearances every night. Thankfully, Alec has been doing a hell of a job as host, and Randy Hill, um, the newest member of the Rope Break team, has really been showing up and doing some great stuff. And actually, he's the newest admin on WWE Memes, so you can go check those guys out. They're pretty good. Um, so that was pretty awesome for Randy. He's been really stepping up, and we really appreciate that. So shout out to my main man Randy Hill for really stepping it up. Um, but there is one thing that I did want to comment on as far as Monday Night Raw went, and that was Rusev versus Big Show, versus Mark Henry, because that's obviously what it turned into. I didn't necessarily dislike the segment. This is where I stand on this. I'm only gonna like this segment. I still haven't, decided on whether I like the segment or not. It all is going to depend on Hell in a Cell. What are they gonna do at Hell in a Cell? Is it going to be Rusev versus Mark Henry and Big Show? Is it gonna be a handicap? Is it gonna be triple threat? As long as those three men get in the ring and fight, even I think it would be cool if it was in a cage, and Rusev comes out victorious and he wins the match convincingly, not by disqualification, because let's face it right now, what is Big Show, what does it prove to have Big Show win? Nothing. What does it do for anybody? It doesn't help anybody. Big Show's career is pretty much done as far as being, a top level talent, a star. His time to shine is over with. He had his 5 minutes of fame. He's been champion. There's nothing left for him to do other than help put other talent over. Same exact thing with Mark Henry. There's nothing left for him. So, what they really need to focus on is what is right in front of them, and that is Rusev. Rusev is, I was kind of losing, hope with Rusev. I was kind of losing, I was kind of getting bored with him. He was kind of, to me, he was losing steam. But, hopefully, a victory over. I'm glad they did the Big Show match on Raw. That is one thing I am happy about because that is not a pay-per-view caliber match. And same thing with Rusev versus Mark Henry. And I'm not even too interested in those three together in the ring, as far as it being a good match. But I do think that Rusev beating both Mark Henry and Big Show at the same exact time in the same match convincingly, that will put him over. In my eyes, that'll put him over. And then they can move on to bigger and better things. I don't, he keeps continually fighting the same guys. On main event, he fought Big E again. And, they're kind of running out of things for him to do. So I'm a little bit worried that they're going to try to prolong this rivalry because they don't really have anything else for him. Um, and it's not really a great rivalry. It should be a one and done type rivalry. He beat Big Show, or he beat Mark Henry, he beat Big Show. Now he's going to beat both of them. Done. Stop. No more. I don't want to see this because it's not going to sell tickets. Nobody's going to see Rusev versus Big Show. Maybe 5 people, but where I got the number 5 from, you're wondering? I really don't know. It just popped in my head. But in all seriousness, I just don't want to see this in a pay-per-view. Um, I'll be okay with it as long as Rusev beats both of those guys convincingly. If they F it up and have some kind of interference or disqualification from Rusev, which really could happen because that's how WWE likes to roll. And like I said, they don't have anything else for the guy, so they could be trying to prolong it. I'll be really worried about that. Because if I don't want to see this once, I sure as hell do not want to see this twice. I'm getting really, really impatient with him constantly fighting Big Show and Mark Henry. And if he beats him, it needs to be done, and he needs to move on to the next big thing that he can go up against. Maybe, I think it'd be cool to have a Ryback. I know people are talking maybe Ryback return at Royal Rumble. I don't know when he's supposed to be back, but he could go against Ryback because that's kind of a feud he hasn't had yet. It'd be interesting. He just needs to go against big guys, strong guys, so he can win convincingly. I honestly think the next feud for him coming up has to be Sheamus. He has to fight Sheamus, and he needs to take the U.S. title. He needs to beat him. Could you imagine that? This guy with the amount of heat that he has, and it's raw heat. This heat is real, and he's the realest heel that we've had in a long time. Could you imagine that kind of heat? If this communist Russian had the U.S. title, even though he isn't technically Russian, he's Bulgarian, and Lana's actually from Florida. Either way, him having that title with his character, oh, that'd be awesome. And him beating Sheamus, I don't like Sheamus, but him beating Sheamus would be the icing on the cake. And, that would make him look strong because Sheamus, whether I like him or not, is actually a credible opponent. That's just kind of the way he's been built. As far as his character, they're constantly pushing him as this really, really tough fighter. And I really see a lot of benefits from him feuding with Sheamus. So hopefully we get to see that in the future. Hopefully we don't have to sit through Big Show and Mark Henry versus Rusev for too much longer. But I think that'll be interesting in the long run. And speaking of feuds that have been going on for far too long, John Cena versus Randy Orton. Let's be real here. I know the big concern with this match is the fact that this match has happened a lot. This feud has been going on for years. Here's my counter to that, though. I have 2 counters. Actually, I have a positive counter and a negative one. My kind of pros and cons of this. I see this as a good thing because at least we know we're going to get a good match. That's kind of my positive here. Even though we've seen this 1,000 times, you can't really deny that, probably like 95% of every match that they've ever had has been entertaining in some form or fashion. And I've really, really enjoyed, you know, they know each other so well. They always put on interesting matches. This time it's in a cage, so it kind of leaves you wondering, you know, what's gonna happen, who's gonna win. Um, Obviously, there are a lot of people who are probably saying Cena's gonna win. He always wins, but you really don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But that brings me to my con. What purpose does this serve? What stipulation does this have that makes me say, okay, this is furthering a storyline? I don't see one. John Cena obviously wants Seth Rollins, but I really don't see a necessarily positive outcome in this for Seth Rollins. I think this is obviously I can't see into the future, but knowing how they roll with John Cena, and obviously Cena is going to be facing Brock Lesnar for the 100th time just this month, or the past 3 months at Royal Rumble. He I don't see him losing to Seth Rollins, so when they do fight each other, I don't see Seth Rollins winning. Um, it just seems like a difficult, like an impossible scenario for Seth Rollins to get out of this without being, somewhat diminished. I mean, he's got to fight Dean Ambrose. He's got him in a cage. Now, I honestly think they're going to ruin this if they have more interference, because to me, that's just getting really, really unnecessary. It's getting really redundant. It's happening over and over, and that's all we see every week on Raw. There's some sort of interference from the Authority. It's just frustrating. It's not frustrating to, oh, the Authority, like I'm wagging my fist at them. No, it's just like, oh my God, this shit again. You gotta be kidding me. Can you creative? Can you please write something more entertaining? This is ridiculous. And I feel like that's what we're gonna get at Hell in a Cell, and it worries me. And like I was saying, what does Orton versus Cena prove? What purpose does it have in this show? Ambrose versus Rollins makes sense. Why? Because they've been having a feud for a while now, and it is a main feud on the show. Randy Orton and Cena haven't really been having a huge feud. I mean, yeah, they were kind of attacking each other. He was kind of trying to get the Rollins, like he's beating up Orton to get there. But it's not really a feud anybody cares about anymore. And, okay, Randy Orton wins. Done. Cena now kind of looks a little bit weaker, and it's not really a good way to build him to fight Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble unless you're, knocking him down to build him back up. But I don't really see that happening. Cena wins, which I'm pretty sure is what is going to happen. Cena wins and then goes on to face Rollins. And if Rollins beats Ambrose, that kind of knocks Ambrose down a peg. But, it's not a burial. I know what you're thinking. I can sense it on the tip of your tongue. Oh, they're going to bury Ambrose. No, it's not a burial. As long as... Here's what I see as a burial. When you take somebody who's being pushed and you cause them to lose in a match, and then you don't continue their build after, and you let them just continually sink lower and lower and lower, that is becoming a burial. A burial to me is somebody who you don't see. JTG, that is a burial. That is a guy they didn't want on the roster. They had him job every single match. That is a burial. Having one guy in the main roster lose once in a match in a rivalry that, it makes sense for him to lose, it's not a burial. I know so many people are going to... You watch right now. You watch the internet after Hell in a Cell. If Ambrose loses or if Rollins... One of them's got to lose. Unless they... Like I said, unless they do an interference, which is going to be stupid, and I'm going to be really upset if they do that. Because it's such a waste. Honestly, I think right now, as much as I love Dean Ambrose, they need to focus on pushing Seth because they haven't been doing a very good job. He's kind of been there. He's kind of been the stooge. He's kind of becoming Orton 2.0. And as all the term Aussie used was baby back bitch for Orton. Same thing is applying for Seth Rollins. I kind of feel like the push is kind of been kind of sketchy. So I think at Hell in a Cell, Rollins does need to beat Ambrose. And here's the thing. Just because he beats Ambrose doesn't mean Ambrose is buried. If they continue the build on Ambrose the following week, they put him. This is how you fix it. He loses to Seth Rollins. The following Monday night on Raw, he beats another wrestler. Maybe he beats Kofi Kingston. Maybe he beats. I'm trying to think of. There's not very many heels on the roster. Maybe he beats Bo Dallas. Either way, giving him a victory after a loss is a way you kind of save a build. That's how if you don't do that after Raw and you continue to let him go on and on for weeks and weeks without winning another match, it's starting to become a burial. Not purposeful. To me, a burial, I don't really think that even happens. I think that's just, it doesn't happen often. It's just kind of when a guy doesn't like you, or when somebody in the back doesn't like you, they purposely try to make you fail. Or they purposely drop you down, because they don't want you to be, a main event star or mid-carder. They don't want you to be anything. They want you to just a job. And to me, that's a burial. A guy who has tons of talent. And, like I said, that term gets thrown on way too much. But I think that Ambrose needs to lose. And, Ambrose loses, Seth Rollins wins. He looks good. And then, he loses to Cena at Survivor Series. The only way they can make that work out is by interference. And I know what I said before, interference is stupid. Oh my God, the Authority keeps interfering. Not really by the Authority. I think this is the time to reemerge Brock Lesnar. Even though Royal Rumble is the start of WrestleMania season, they said we won't see him back. Until then, I think a quick appearance by him doesn't even need to show up on Raw. I think that'd be a good way to keep him in the show. Just have him come out in F5 Cena right in the middle of the match, screwing him out of that match. And then you could have Seth Rollins pin him. Because he already has that victory, that strong victory over Ambrose. I think it's going to be one hell of a match, and I think they need to let it play out. I'm worried about both these matches. Because I really just don't see an upside to Seth Rollins in this situation. Cena beats Orton and then goes on to beat Rollins or beats Ambrose, whoever wins that match. I think it should be Rollins, but no, I'm just confused by this, and it to me doesn't make any sense. I don't see a purpose in it other than, it'll probably be a decent match. I don't think it'll be terrible, but I still don't care to see it. Whether it's good or not, I just don't care to see it. And we are really, really jumping into overtime here. I just kind of wanted to touch on the fact that there are a lot of people who are jumping on the bandwagon, and this whole podcast has been dedicated to the term buried. This is like, I might even call this podcast, Before the Bell, episode number 4, part 2, because this is kind of continuing on what I was talking about last week. Obviously, there are some new topics, but it kind of all keeps circulating around the term buried. And, real quick, before I forget, goddamn JBL. I don't know if you guys read this, but JBL says that Michael Cole is the greatest play-by-play commentator that the WWE has ever had. I'll give you guys a moment to let that soak in. The greatest play-by-play commentator that the WWE has ever had. JBL. Let me tell you why that's bullshit. Alright, let me tell you why that's bullshit, because the fact that you were jumping him over Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Ross and putting him above them. I know it's just your opinion, but my man, your opinion is wrong. That is stupid. Can't believe you would even think that. Makes no sense. And it makes me wonder if you even watch the product, because he is not good. I'm not saying he's terrible. Here's the deal. Michael Cole is not a bad play-by-play commentator. He is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a good WWE commentator. He's not a bad commentator. He's just not. He's just a bad WWE commentator. That's the problem. He's not meant for pro wrestling. His commentating is meant for, something more rigid, something more like boxing, something more like horse race calling. So I just, he's never appealed to me, and I know so many people don't like him because he's not exciting. He makes everything sound boring, and the dude forgets things all the time. He and I know we keep going back to this, but he forgot Paige's finisher. He never even called it. You kidding me? That's the greatest play-by-play commentator, in your opinion, that the WWE's ever had? A guy who who constantly forgets to call finishing maneuvers. A guy who freaking called the crossface and STF when it was. I think anybody who knows wrestling knows that's not what it was called, and then argued with JBL because he thought he was right. Are you kidding me? You have got to be shitting me. That was completely PC garbage from JBL. And I kind of lost some respect for that guy just for that, because that is ridiculous. I don't hate Michael Cole like a lot of people do. I just don't think that I don't think he's anywhere near a even remotely decent WWE commentator. Yeah, if he was in boxing or things of that nature, then I would say he's good. But to put him above JR and Gorilla Monsoon, go back and watch Gorilla Monsoon call a match. One of my all-time favorites. Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon is arguably the greatest commentating team of all time. And it's hard for me because I love Jim Ross and I love, King and JR. That's arguably one of the greatest of all time. It's hard for me to tell you which one I like more because I just love them both so much. Go watch them. Go watch their styles. And then go watch Cole call a match. And with JR, with Gorilla Monsoon, with Heenan and Jerry Lawler, you're out of your seat, you're screaming, you're excited with them. When Cole calls a match or somebody returns, you take a nap. You're not interested in what he's trying to sell you. It's just not good. Some of that, I can't put that all on Cole because some of that has to do with the WWE, but I kind of wanted to throw that in there. Man, we are running grossly out of time here. So I will say I have some other stuff that I would like to talk about, but I don't want to continue and go over an hour. I don't really want to go that long because I still haven't had anything from you guys to tell me whether or not you think I should be doing an hour or you like it at 45 minutes. I'm hoping to continue to grow in popularity. I hope people enjoy this show. I know I go on tangents a lot. I know that I get way off track. But like I said, I promise you, you'll have it in writing with my signature. Put a stamp on it. I will get to my point eventually, and I always do. Just takes me a minute. Not a lot of yelling this week on Before the Bell. That's fine. Maybe I'll be a little bit more awake next week. Maybe I'll throw some cold water in my face and be awake and just start yelling into the microphone for 45 minutes. Because that's the best way to run a podcast. If you guys are ever thinking about running a podcast, here's the way to do it. Do it the way I do it. You insult your audience, you scream at them, you cuss at them, and then you just be depressing and negative for 45 minutes, and you'll become a hit just like me with 11, 12 viewers every week. Trust me, that's the best way to run it. No, it's really not. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not a good idea. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If anything I talk about during any of my shows, excites you in any way, gets your attention, you want to talk to me about it, you know how to you should know how to contact me. But if you're new, I'll go through it again just for you because that's just the kind of guy I am. I'm a nice guy. You can contact me day or night on Facebook.com/RopeBreakWrestling, Twitter.com/RopeBreakWrestling, Twitter.com/RealMatdonato. And you can always check out all the latest news and rumors on RopeBreakWrestling.com. Bookmark that shit already. Come on. Bookmark it. It's not hard to click. You just gotta click a button, bookmark it, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Um, you know, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and check out our friends over at WWE Memes. Our friends at Talkin' Wrestling Network, and go check out uh, their Facebook page. They got some good stuff going on. You can catch all the rope breakers on occasion on React After Raw. You can check out Alec and Randy every single Monday night on React. Check out Aussie on his awesome show, The Sharpshoot, every single Thursday night. Obviously, you can check out Before the Bell every Friday afternoon. If the timing during the day, if you have any concerns, if you don't like the timing of the show, if you think it's too late or too early for you, and I get enough people telling me, I have no problem shifting it to make it easy. This is for your convenience, guys. Rope Break is for the fans, by the fans, and we're here to please you because we are fans just like you. We're all here because we love professional wrestling. That's the truth. We all love this industry. We love this business, this sport. We love it. That's why we're all here. And we created this website because we were tired of, all the garbage that we would find on the internet. We wanted something that we knew we would love, and hopefully you guys love as well. Like I always say, if you're hogging the good stuff and you're not sharing us with your friends, you're being absolutely neglectful. And I'm in that type of mood. I'm just gonna say it point blank. You're an asshole. Share Rope Break. It's a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. And if you're not living the Rope Break lifestyle, then you are not really living. And that, my friend, is not me being biased. That is just a fact of life. So do yourself a favor. Do your friends a favor. Get away from the bleachers. Get away from cage side. Because let's be fair, those other sites, they're alright, but they don't hold a candle to being in the ring with Rope Break. They just can't. We are that damn good, and we're doing everything every week. We're trying really hard to be your number one destination for news and rumors because we want to be the best, for all the wrestling fans. We want to give back to the wrestling community because we love this just as much as you guys do. This is our way of doing it. Check out all our podcasts, and make sure to check out our awesome giveaway that could be happening. I know, like I said, our friends at WWE Memes sharing our post. We are giving away, if we can reach 3,000 likes on our Facebook page, we will be starting a giveaway for a brand new unopened copy of WWE 2K, with a 2K15, with the alternate cover, just in case you feel like you want to swap out that Cena cover. We're giving you that option. We'll get you the alternate cover. That way you can swap out if you don't want to stare at Cena forever, which I don't blame you. All we have to do is hit 3,000, and we'll give you guys all the details. And I know there were some concerns about this giveaway. I know people were saying that they've done these things before and they never get what they want. Listen, that's life. You're not always going to get what you want, but we do promise, and you can even go on our Facebook page and check it out, that we always deliver on our giveaways. When we say we're going to give something away, we give something away. Rope Break is not a bunch of liars. We tell the truth. We're going to give away this copy if we reach 3,000 likes on Facebook. You're gonna one lucky winner, one lucky rope breaker will win a copy of 2K15 for the console of their choice, by the way. So maybe PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. Do they even make that for the? I know they used to make the SmackDown versus Raws for the Wii, but I don't know anybody who would want one for that system. If they even still make that for that, which I doubt. Um, that'd be weird. But if they do and you want one for the Wii, then it's kind of a waste. But I'll we'll definitely get you that. If obviously if they have it. So yeah, we're doing what we can to get you guys over to the rope break lifestyle because we want you guys to start living, and we enjoy what we're doing, and hopefully you're enjoying it too. And without further ado, I am way over time here. I'm just chewing your ear off with bullshit information that you don't really care about, and just I'm an encyclopedia of useless facts, and that is a fact of life as well, actually. All right, so enough of me rambling. Enough. You guys are probably tired and probably falling asleep. So, with that being said, I am your host, Matt Donato. This has been another episode of Before the Bell. I will see you guys right back here, same time, same place, and hope you enjoy that one as well.